Golden sands, emerald reefs, blue crystal clear waters. Today we are going to discuss not the final frontiers, but they hold a very important part or aspect in India's outer boundaries or outer defense. And it is a haven. When we talk about the Indian islands, the Andaman Nicobar Islands and the Lakshadweep Islands, they are a haven for biological diversity, and they house communities. They're a safe place for communities or tribal people who are light years away from the general so-called civilized population. But along came the prancing Chinese dragon and causing a rift or causing a lot of unrest or panic among the authorities, because what China is doing, we all know, he's trying apart in the Iran Israel relations. We briefly discussed about the one belt one road, that is, it is trying to revive the old Silk Route. Similarly, China is also trying to circumvent and establish its military and economic might, trade routes in the Indian Ocean as well. So here we know that some ports which come of importance. You might have heard about the Hambantota port on the southern coast of Sri Lanka, where China has taken up development projects. Then in Eastern Africa, in Kenya, in Sudan, Port Sudan, and all the way going through the Suez Canal, trying to accomplish its aims by reaching up to Greece and further into the European hinterland. Then some important ports, again, mapping becomes very important. This will definitely enthuse or increase your augment your interest. So some important places again. So some important ports. First of all, we had discussed GNPT port, Mundra and Kandla. Remember which one is the minor, which one is major port. So here we have the Sitwe port in Myanmar. Sitwe port is very important for India. How can you tell? You might have heard about the Kaladan multimodal project. So often it becomes very difficult for India to trade or send goods to the northeastern corridor, because the northeastern states are separated from rest of India through a very narrow strip known as the chicken neck corridor. So it aims to supply goods, develop this corridor from Kolkata Haldia port to Kaladan, to this Sitwe port. Okay, there is a Kaladan river flowing through Myanmar, and then the roads and the railways will further attach it with the NH2, which goes through Nagaland and other states. Like we have Nagaland, then Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. So northeastern states can be catered to easily. Then this is the Chattogram port. Chattogram, initially it was known as Chittagong in Bangladesh. We have the Vishakhapatnam inland port, Vizag. We have the Chennai port. So alternate names you should also, again in Tamil Nadu we have the Tuticorin port, we have the Ennore port. Anyways, so some important. So this we know, this is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They might be hidden because of the icons, but so these have been asked in the prelims and they become very essential, very important for this and coming years as well. So currently Andaman and Nicobar Islands have been found to be neglected militarily and economically. So since the Chinese are establishing influence, Lakshadweep has been promoted recently as a tourist destination, but Andaman has largely been neglected because of many reasons. There are tribal people are living there, so their homes, tribal people are very attached to forest and their diversity and their land, so it is very difficult to obtain clearances, especially environmental clearances. Then it is quite far away from the mainland, so foodstuffs, industrial goods, they are difficult to transport. There is no particular or no significant military airstrips and naval fleets too, although there is the Andaman and Nicobar Naval Command which caters to this region. So in brief, in short, a lot of things need to be achieved. So now Andaman and Nicobar Islands, some geographical concepts. So they are a group of 836 islands, primarily divided into two groups. That is the, of course, as the name suggests, Andaman and Nicobar. Fine. So again, Andaman is comprised of several components. Okay, this is North Andaman, this is Middle Andaman, and this is the South Andaman. Port Blair, the capital of the Union Territory of ANN Islands, is located on South Andaman. This is Coco Island. Recently in news, Coco Island is a territory of Myanmar, this yellow country. So this channel, we have already discussed straits and channels. Channel is basically a narrow strip of water body which connects two other seas or lies between two land masses. Okay, it is natural in nature, it is not man-made. If we talk about straits, we talk about canals. So straits and channels are more or less, they are natural. Okay, they exist in nature. Canals like the Suez Canal, Panama Canal, they have been artificially constructed by anthropogenic activities or by human workers. Fine. Then important, now geographically, these islands, Andaman Nicobar Islands, they are an extension of the Arakan Yoma range in Myanmar, which further links to India's Purvanchal range, which are the eastern extension of the Himalayan range. So they are geographically or structurally, they belong to a category known as tertiary fold mountains. Okay. Volcanic activity is very less, it is negligible, except for this. You might be surprised to hear this, but there is an active volcano known as Barren Island, which is situated to the east of the Middle Andaman Islands. And this question has been asked in UPSC prelims, and I'll show you an excerpt from the NCERT where the location has been misrepresented or it is inaccurate. Just bear with me. Okay, so some islands in Andaman and Nicobar, they have been renamed, as has been the case, the general trend these days. I'm not going to delve into the politics of that. So this is the Havelock Island. Now it has been named Swaraj Island. This is the Neil Island, now renamed Shahid Island. And this is the Ross Island. This has been renamed to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Island. This was also in news recently due to environmental concept. There is this species known as cheetal, which has run amok over this island. It has become an invasive species and it is destroying or it is subverting the natural flora and fauna of this region. So again, each and everything becomes important. So this, now when we discuss the channels, Coco Island is separated from the Andaman Islands or specifically North Andaman Islands by the Coco Channel. Fine. So you see how close India is to the Myanmar territory. So again, development militarily, strategically, economically becomes very important. Then some important peaks, because it belongs to fold mountains. So this Saddle Peak is there on North Andaman Island. There are other peaks, Harriet Peak also, Diavolute Peaks, which you will find in NCERT. I'm not going to tell you the location, but you have to remember. This Barren Island volcano to the east of Middle Andaman Islands is the only active volcano present on these islands. We're not going to go into the reason. Again, it might not have erupted recently, but there is a separate criterion for denoting or defining a particular volcano as active, dormant or extinct. So this is an active volcano, important point. Here we have the North Sentinel Island west of Port Blair. Here you might have heard of the Sentinelese tribe. Very important tribe. It belongs to the PVTG groups, that is particularly vulnerable tribal groups, which are considered to be even at a greater vulnerability as compared to the normal tribal groups. They are very less in number. They are devoid of bereft of the new modern age medical equipments, medical facilities. So that is there. And here, now this part, like I said, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, they are composed of not only two groups but also subcategories, subgroups. So this is North Andaman, Middle Andaman, South Andaman. Okay, this is Little Andaman. Fine. So this Little Andaman is separated from the South Andaman by Duncan Passage. This map, please pay attention, this kind of map where you will not find anywhere, and such kind of explanation, this has taken me a lot of painstaking effort to create. This is Car Nicobar, just a little bit of fun. This is Car Nicobar. So these are the Nicobar Islands. Okay, so this Nicobar is separated from Andaman Islands by the 10-degree channel. You know, 10 degree basically corresponds to the latitude on which this channel exists. So if we extend this, 10-degree latitude you will be able to mark. This is Car Nicobar, and this is the Great Nicobar Islands. Here Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve is there. Then important bay here, which was in the news, is Galathea Bay. Now Galathea Bay, again, this becomes militarily very important because transshipment projects have to be developed, and it is very close to this Sumatra region of Indonesia. This Sabang is the nearest point to the Indonesia, which is nearest to Andaman Nicobar Islands. So this becomes very important. Now Galathea Bay, not only from the point of view of strategy and military point of view, Galathea Bay is also important from the environmental point of view because it is the world's largest nesting site for leatherback turtles. Okay. So leatherback turtles, if you have heard of IUCN, so it releases a red list. So leatherback turtles are critically endangered species, and obviously whenever any heavy development of industries of military takes place, this population will be affected. It is already critically endangered. It is not safe. Fine. Another category of turtles you might heard of is olive ridley turtles. The IUCN status is vulnerable, and they are prominently found in Odisha's Gahir Matha Wildlife Sanctuary. So these, again, I cannot teach each and everything. I can just relate the points so that it is easier for you. Again, the point which recently in news is this Kra Canal. It has not been developed now. This is Thailand, red color. This is Myanmar. This narrow strip of land is known as the Kra Isthmus. Isthmus is another geographical term which is defined as a narrow strip of land connecting two major land masses. And if we somehow break apart these two parts, we connect a water body, like we develop the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, so it will become a canal. Fine, so it will be named as Kra Canal. So the proposal is why this needs to be developed, because the major trade routes from Southeast Asia and East Asia, it has to travel through this strait between, this is Malaysia and Sumatra Island of Indonesia. It is known as the Malacca Strait or Strait of Malacca. Like Suez Canal, this has also become a choke point, and Chinese influence is also spreading. Fine. So this is mostly about the Andaman, the important places I have highlighted. Then I'll just enlarge important straits which have been in news. One, Malacca is very important. This is Sunda Strait. Okay. This is Java, Sumatra. Currently, the capital of Indonesia lies here on the Java island. It is Jakarta. Again, in the news, Jakarta, it is a proposal to relocate the capital of Indonesia from Java island to this purple island, Kalimantan island. Okay, and it is supposed to be called as Nusantara. So just additional information. Now you might have this Sunda Strait is there. This island, this small island is Bali, a hotspot for tourist destination. This is island of Lombok. So this strait separating Bali and Lombok is the Lombok Strait. Then another important strait. Now you can see the expanse of Indonesia. All this purple is Indonesia. Just have a look. So here also some important, just geographically important. Here this is the Umbai Vetar Strait. Fine. So this island, if you can see, this western part or this purple part is known as West Timor. It is a part of Indonesia. This yellow part is the East Timor. It is a nation. It is sovereign nation. Its capital is Dili. Dili. Fine. So this strait is very important. This is the Sulawesi island. Now again, recently 1-2 days before. So I have been updating I have to update as a teacher also. I have to keep. So this Ruang volcano eruption took place. These volcanoes have become very important. These have been asked in mains and this can be asked in prelims as well. You might have heard of Krakatau volcano. This is a type of caldera volcanoes. We are not going to discuss the types of volcanoes right now. Mount Merapi, Mount Semeru, Mount Sinabung. There is also Mount Kerinci in this Sumatra island. Fine. This is the Guinea island. The western part is under Indonesia. The eastern part is country known as Papua New Guinea. Fine. Just a little bit of geographical knowledge that why so many volcanoes they exist here. That is, just a minute. So we know that why the Himalayas are still rising because of the collision of the Indian plate or the Indo-Australian plate with the Eurasian plate. Fine. And this boundary, the Indian plate boundary, it extends all the way through this Arakan Yoma range to the Andaman Islands. Fine. Then it divides here into two portions. I'm drawing a rough sketch, not an exact sketch. This goes straight to Japan. So this basically is the Eurasian plate. Okay. And this is basically whole, the Indo-Australian plate. So the Indo-Australian plate is subducting beneath the Eurasian plate, and due to subduction what happens is that this here we have the Pacific plate. So both the Eurasian and Pacific plate, they are, when they undergo subduction, when this plate undergoes subduction, so the plate melts, it gets converted into magma, the fumes, the plumes rise and volcanoes are formed. Just a brief description, I'm not going to go into detail. Fine. So let us now come to the Lakshadweep Islands. Again, very important from the point of view of prelims. And this North Sentinel Island, I forgot. In 2018, one person, American individual John Chow, was in news because he decided to venture into this island, and allegedly he was killed by their tribes. And here also recently again in the news, this Great Nicobar Islands, there are an important tribal people, again PVTG groups known as Shompen. They voted this year in the election phase. Fine. Now we come to the this Lakshadweep Islands. Now Lakshadweep Islands are basically coral islands. They are of volcanic origin, reunion hotspot volcanic origin. I'm not going to discuss in detail, but basically they are coral islands. What are corals? Corals are marine invertebrate animals, also known as coral polyps, that belong to a family, that belong to an animal phyla or family known as Cnidaria. Fine. Little bit of geography, this biology. My biology teacher would be proud anyways. So they have a structure, polyp structure like this. Fine. I'll show you an actual picture. So they have tentacles in them from which they catch food. They have a symbiotic relationship with an algae known as zooxanthellae. Fine. So these zooxanthellae are what give color to these corals, the vibrant colors. And recently, why I have mentioned this? Recently in news, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, it declared the 4th mass coral bleaching event across the world. Coral bleaching is simply when the zooxanthellae, they are removed due to stress over the corals, and because they are removed, they no longer provide the color to the coral polyps, and thus they appear to be bleached. But bleaching does not mean that the coral is dead. It can be recovered. Reef we are talking about, these are group of coral reefs, atolls. So basically coral reefs are the underwater or submerged colonies which are formed from the remains of the coral polyps, basically CaCO3 limestone. I'm not going to go into detail. This is important. So now in NCERT, the divisions between the islands, Lakshadweep Islands, group of 36 islands, they are also divided by various channels. Fine. So I have researched myself and tried to make sense of it. So basically 3 divisions I have. So this topmost division is the Amin Devi Island, Amin Devi group of islands. Some examples: Bitra Island, Chetlat Island, Amini Island. Second middle division is known as Lakshadweep or Kannur Islands. Kannur is derived from the word Kannur, which is a coastal district of Kerala. Fine. This consists of islands such as Agatti, Suheli, this is a coral reef, Androt Island, Kavaratti, capital of Lakshadweep, is also there. Agatti, this plane is there not for the sake of it. It is the only airport, AGX, on the Lakshadweep Islands. So you need to go here if you want to visit as a tourist destination. And the third division is the Minicoy Island. Fine. So now, just like 10-degree island, do you remember? Between which, just try to recollect. Here 11-degree channel separates Amin Devi and Lakshadweep or Kannur Islands. 9-degree channel separates Kannur Islands and Minicoy Islands, and 8-degree channel separates the entire Lakshadweep Islands from our friendly neighborhood Maldives, currently in news a lot. So this is the thing. Again, some important territories in news which are worth discussing. So I am fond of some flags. So this, can anyone name what this is? Country Seychelles. So this is the Seychelles. Fine. This is the Assumption Island. So 72,000 crore project has been recently signed between India and Seychelles to develop this project. So this is in the news. This is again tourist destination, tourist hotspot, Mauritius. Fine. So you might have come across this Agalega Islands. An airstrip is being an airstrip is being developed by India to gain strategic and military advantage to counter Chinese. Fine. This is the Chagos archipelago. Archipelago is basically there is a group of islands. Here there is a BIOT, British Indian Ocean Territory. So don't think that colonialism has been extinguished or become extinct. This is a British Indian overseas Indian Ocean territory. Diego Garcia, here military establishments along with US military establishments have been established, and this is an area of dispute, island or area of dispute between UK and Mauritius. So this is the Reunion Island or the Reunion hotspot. Now quickly we'll go to the main discussion. So Indian Ocean, what do the blue waters say? Again, which of the following is separated? This is a 2014 question. So which of the following separated from the 10-degree channel? So now I have discussed each and everything. You can clearly locate or determine the answer. 2018 prelims question, you can read about the barren island. So again, I have taught now this active volcano, and it lies east of the Middle Andaman, not the Great Nicobar. Now I have pasted an excerpt from the India Physical Environment Geography class 11th. So here, see what is written is Barren Island, the only active volcano in India, is also situated in the Nicobar Islands. So not geographically correct. If the writer or the author is talking about Andaman and Nicobar Islands as a whole, then it would be accurate, but still fine. So some peaks, Saddle Peak, Diavolo, Thule, Mount Harriet is also there. Fine. Coral deposits. So all these terms are important. I have highlighted. And again, like in Iran-Israel relations, you can note down, pause the video and note down this question, attempt it. Okay. And try to write an answer. That is very important. Prelims, mains is the important hurdle. So you can send the answer. Fine. So the topic strategic importance we have already discussed in brief. This is actually the example of the coral polyps or the coral reefs. Fine. So significance, maritime relations, strategic challenges, infrastructure, priorities continued. Okay. So this is the one belt, one road, which consists of the land route as well as the sea route also. So you can see that it is going all the way from Xi'an in China to Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and China is also trying to circumvent or establish its stronghold or presence in the Indian Ocean all the way from Fuzhou in China all the way to Venice in Italy, passing through Nairobi, Port Sudan, Hambantota, okay, Sri Lanka. So it is trying to circumvent. One important thing that still I would like to discuss with respect to China. In the map I have shown this South China Sea, which consists of a lot of islands of dispute. So these are the Paracel Islands, Scarborough Shoals, Spratly Islands, the chief main islands in disputes. You might have also come across the Senkaku or the Diaoyu Islands. They are in the East China Sea. That is basically dispute between China and Japan. So here in the South China Sea, like Paracel Island, it is being contested, or there is a conflict between China, Taiwan and Vietnam. Scarborough Shoal, China, Vietnam, China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Philippines. Then Spratly Islands dispute between, they hold claims over it. So China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Philippines and Malaysia. So this is just a brief information and just starting, if you write an answer, you need to start with some introduction, so you can write this. Fine. So geographical significance, geographical position, it is situated at a very significant strategic position in the Indian Ocean, very close to the Malacca Strait, the Sumatra island of Indonesia, and also the Sino-Indian Peninsula, consisting of countries. Thailand is there, Myanmar is there. So then key proximity, Sabang, I have shown you Coco Island, Indira Point, the southernmost point of the Andaman Nicobar Islands, okay, located on the Great Nicobar Island, which was submerged in the 2005 tsunami. Fine. Then we have the maritime relations. So maritime boundaries are shared with these countries: Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. UNCLOS is a, I'll not go into detail. UNCLOS basically stands for United Nations Convention of Law of the Sea. So what China is doing here, it has not only claimed, it is not only proclaiming its claim over the existing islands, it is also building artificial reefs, islands, or artificial shoals, so that the waters surrounding it, they can be exploited for resources. Okay, just go and study UNCLOS on your own in brief. Then strategic challenges, again this is in general, we have discussed the important, this is important from the prelims point of view: Malacca, Sundal, Lombok, Ombai, Vetar, and so we have to take steps, we have to take positive steps to make sure that the India's maritime security is not undermined. Infrastructure and strategic. So because of environmental challenges, political mismanagement, and all these reasons, the proper development has not taken place. So there's a definite need to bolster these development projects and get over all these hurdles and obstacles. So infrastructure priorities: surveillance and patrol. Okay, airports for Boeing 737 size and the important thing is, once the development take place, it is necessary that Andaman Nicobar Islands gets independent from the transportation of important essential amenities or items such as foodstuffs or industrial equipment or weapons and arms from the Indian mainland. It has to become self-sufficient. Okay. Then continued infrastructure, transport and habitation, international collaboration, maritime services, repair and logistics, Galathea Bay, I've already discussed. Remember the leatherback turtles for prelims environment point of view. And eco-friendly entrepreneurial. Of course, when we talk about eco-friendly, we try to prefix it with every development project, but the ultimate reality, you all know, once a project is developed, the indigenous communities, the varied biodiversity gets affected in one way or the other. So it can take help of the international agreements like Quad and the Indian Pacific Ocean Initiative as well. So holistic development of islands, not only Andaman but Lakshadweep, needs to take place. Fine. So that is all for today. Thank you for attending the session. Till we meet next time. Jai Hind.